Hello everyone, I am Sukhbir Kaur Gill, your English teacher. Dear students, today we are going to discuss a very interesting story, that is The Blue Bead. It is written by Nora Perk. So let's begin. In the beginning of the story, The Blue Bead, the writer gives a detailed description of the crocodile before she introduces a 12 years old Indian girl named Sibia to the readers. So first of all, we will discuss about the crocodile. The mugger crocodile, who was well grown and twice as large as a tall man, he had fully grown up and his skin had developed into a solid wall of armored hide which cannot be even penetrated with a bullet shot. So just imagine how hard was the skin of the crocodile. Next, the color of the crocodile. The color of the crocodile was blackish brown above and yellow white under. He laid motionless and he could wait forever till food came. He was ferocious, his mouth was closed and fixed in that evil bony smile. We can say that he was waiting for his prey. Life of crocodiles is very difficult. When they got birth, there are certain dangers to them. But this crocodile escaped the birds of prey and the great carnivorous fishes that ate baby crocodiles. He had prospered well, catching the food he needed. So, this crocodile was successful in saving himself. He had plenty availability for his meals and he ate almost everything. He fed on fish, ducks, monkeys, and other animals who came to the river to drink water. He also fed on a pie dog full of parasites or a skeleton cow. If required, he sometimes went down the burning ghats and found the half-burnt bodies of Indians cast into the stream. So, we can say that the crocodile can eat anything. He passed his days lying on warm rocks and the sandbank where the sun dried the clay. Beside the crocodile, as he laid waiting for his food or relaxing there, was a blue bead shining brightly. So, this is the main part of the story. So, I again repeat, there was a blue bead shining brightly. By chance, it was perforated right through, means it had a hole in it. The neck of a bottle, perhaps. Possibly, it may be the neck of a bottle. So, now comes the main character of the story. In a village, there lived a little girl named Sibia. In the mud house, she came out of a mud house after eating her last meal. She was dressed in an earthen colored rag. She was 12 years old girl and had great eyes and bonny hair. She was barefoot and born to toil. So from here you can easily assess that this girl was suffering from extreme poverty. She was poor and had never owned anything but a rag. She had never owned even one anna, but she wished to make a bead necklace for herself. that would rattle around her neck, but due to poverty, she was deprived of it. And from here, you can easily assess that poverty was a big hindrance for her to fulfill her dreams. Her life was hit by extreme poverty, yet she had visited the local market with her parents and brothers. Witnessing everything which came under her gaze, there seemed no rest in her life, as she had been performing all the household tasks from husking corn to cutting grass for fodder. It seemed that the poor girl was marked for work, though she was a girl of 12 years. But the work done by her was not like a child of 12 years. Life was very hard for Sibia. So you can easily estimate the life of Sibia. It was Sibia's regular routine to get paper grass from the cliff above the river with her mother and other women. Then they sold the paper grass to an agent who arranged its dispatch to the paper mills. Now you need to remember that what happened one day. One day, on their way back, they came across camps of grass huts in which resided the Gujars. The Gujars were a nomadic community who made a place their home until their animals finished the grass within their reach, or there is a market for their milk or butter to be sold, or there could be the buyers for the male buffaloes. And you need to remember that who are Gujars. The Gujars were Junglis, as Sibia was, too born and bred in the forest. The women reached the river and could hear it rushing along. They came onto the shore and made for the stepping stones. Their life was very hard, but they don't have any option. While crossing the river, they had plenty to laugh and bicker about. And my dear students, remember this thing, that talk was not a luxury for them but a necessity for them. So they shouted above the gush of the river, and noise frightens crocodiles. So they knew this thing very well, that crocodiles was having only fear from one thing, that was noise. The big crocodile did not move, and all the women crossed in safety to the other bank. Here they had to climb a still hillside to get at the grass. And what was there down below? Down below, there ran the broad river. Great turtles lived there. Crocodiles too lived there. Sometimes they could be seen lying on the slabs of clay. Now it was the time for the women to go back to see their animals and the evening meal. The loaded women set out to cross the river again, but Sylvia hung back to see the clay cups. So now she was not with the other ladies, but the women crossed the river safely. Sylvia came down alone on the stepping stones. she stepped onto the first stone. When she had crossed the river, she put her load down on a big rock to rest, as she was extremely tired. At the same time, a Gujjar woman came down with 2 pitchers to, to the water on the other side to get the good clear water. She walked on to the stepping stones, and at that time she was attacked by the crocodile. The woman screamed, dropped down both brass pots, and Sylvia saw the brass pots bob away in the current. And you need to remember one line that Sylvia firstly expressed after seeing the brass pots moving in the water that, oh, the 2 good vessels gone. And after that, she saw the lady attacked by the crocodile, and the Gujjar woman was badly attacked by the crocodile. The Gujjar woman recoiled from the crocodile, but his jaws closed on her leg at the same moment as she slipped and fell on the bone-breaking stone. She clutched one of the timber logs to save herself. Now, my dear students, imagine the scene. She was clinging to the log, and the crocodile was pulling the leg of the lady, trying to carry her off into the depths of the pool. And there was blood everywhere. But Sylvia sprang from boulder to boulder. She came leaping like a rock goat, and in one moment she was beside the shrieking woman. The crocodile's eyes rolled onto Sylvia. One slap of tail could kill her. He struck up, shot the water 20 feet and fell like a silver chain. But crocodile failed to take Sylvia under his clutches, and Sylvia aimed at the reptile's eyes with all the force of her little body. She drove the hay fork at the eyes, and one prong went in while its spear scratched past on the horny cheek. So you could easily imagine how Sylvia attacked the crocodile. The crocodile reared up in convulsion and then disappeared. And Sylvia was successful in saving the Gujjar lady. Sylvia got her arms round the fainting woman and somehow dragged her from the water. She stopped her wounds with sand and bound them with a rag, and helped her to the Gujjar encampment, where the man made a litter to carry her to someone for treatment. Then Sylvia went back for her paper grass, sickle, and hay fork. As she went in to pick up the hay fork out of the water, she saw the blue bead and was extremely happy. She saw that it had a hole in it, and she can directly use it as a necklace. And she was on cloud 9. She gathered all the things and set off home. On the way back, she met her anxious mother who was worried about the safety of her daughter. She had thought that something must have happened to her daughter. But Sibia, bursting with her story, cried, "Something did. I found a blue bead for my necklace. Look." So, my dear students, finding the blue bead seemed more important to her than saving a life. Thus, this story revolves around the moral that good things come through difficult situations, and the proverb, where there is a will, there is a way. So, thank you, my dear students.